Had your fucking 6 deployments. 2.5 years to Afghanistan, Iraq. I can go to fucking wall on you, cocksucker.
Joel, we're not going to do the walking talk, okay?
My hips need to both be replaced.
Okay.
You understand?
8 guns, 1 woman, and absolutely no room for a mistake. It's just after midnight when the silence of the neighborhood is shattered by flashing red and blue lights. Officers shout over each other, their voices sharp, urgent, overlapping. In the middle of it all stands Maya Carter, 34, barefoot, breathing hard, her hands raised just enough to show she's not a threat, but her stance, it's not surrender, it's readiness. Now pause for a second. Ask yourself this: if someone is truly dangerous, do they stand still like that? Or is something else going on here? Maya's eyes scan the scene, not wildly, but methodically. Left, right, distance, angles. She's calculating, not attacking, not fleeing, just reading the room. But the officers surrounding her don't see it that way. "Get on the ground," one yells. "Don't move," another snaps at the exact same time. Confused already? So is she. And that's the problem. You can see it in her face the moment hesitation creeps in. Not fear, not guilt, just confusion. Because every instinct she has, every ounce of training drilled into her, is screaming one thing. Conflicting commands in a high-stress situation get people hurt. And yet, that's exactly what's happening. Neighbors are watching now. Phones are out. Someone whispers, "She's going to get shot," like it's already decided, like the ending has been written. But here's what no one outside that moment knows. Maya isn't just some random woman in the street. She's a highly trained military veteran, someone who has operated in real war zones, someone who knows exactly how fast situations like this can spiral out of control. And right now, it's already happening. One officer steps closer, grip tightening on his weapon. Another shifts nervously, finger dangerously close to the trigger. The tension is thick, suffocating. Then it happens. Maya slowly begins to lower herself, one knee bending toward the ground, a sign of compliance, a step toward ending this peacefully. But just as her knee dips, a rookie officer suddenly shouts, "Wait! She's reaching!" Everything freezes. 8 triggers tighten at once, and in that split second, this situation goes from bad to irreversible. What if everything you just saw started with a misunderstanding? Rewind 15 minutes. The street was quiet. No sirens, no shouting, no guns, just another late night in a calm neighborhood. Inside, Maya Carter was finishing an intense workout, weights hitting the floor, controlled breathing, pacing back and forth as she reset between sets. To her, it was routine. To someone else, it sounded like chaos. Next door, Daniel Reeves, 52, stood by his window, watching through a narrow gap in his curtains. He'd complained about Maya before, too loud, too intense, not normal. But tonight, something felt different to him. The heavy thuds, the movement, the shadows. And instead of knocking on her door, he picked up his phone. "Yeah, I need police," he said, voice tight. "There's someone next door. She's aggressive. I think she's breaking things. She might be dangerous." Now think about that. Those words, aggressive, dangerous, they don't just describe a situation, they shape it. Within minutes, officers are dispatched, but they're not arriving to check on a neighbor. They're arriving expecting a threat, and that changes everything. Back inside, Maya wipes sweat from her face, completely unaware of what's coming. No weapon, no anger, just exhaustion and focus after pushing her body to its limits. Then, knocking. Sharp, loud, urgent. She opens the door, confused, and immediately the energy hits her. Officers standing rigid, eyes scanning, hands hovering near holsters. "Step outside," one demands. No explanation, no questions, just commands. You can see it the exact moment her posture shifts, not aggressively, not defensively, but professionally, controlled, alert. Because she recognizes this tone. She's heard it before, just not directed at her. She tries to speak, "What's going on?" But they don't answer. Instead, one officer reaches for her arm, and that's when instinct takes over. Not anger, not resistance, training. Her arm pulls back, fast, automatic, precise, and in that one misunderstood motion, everything changes. The officer stepped back sharply. One hand goes to a taser, another reaches for a weapon. What was confusion was now being labeled as defiance. And just like that, Maya was no longer a homeowner answering her door. She was a suspect, a threat, and the situation is about to spiral faster than anyone can control. When control turns into chaos. It only took 1 second, one instinctive movement, and suddenly Maya wasn't being questioned anymore. She was being treated like a threat. "Back up!" an officer shouted, with his voice cracking with urgency. And just like that, everything changed. Maya's heart rate spiked, not from fear, but from recognition. She knew this pattern. She had seen it before in high-risk zones overseas. Confusion, miscommunication, escalation. The kind of situation where one wrong move doesn't just make things worse, it ends them. "Listen to me," she tried, her voice steady but firm, but no one was listening. Instead, the commands got louder, faster, more aggressive. "Get on the ground. Put your hands behind your back. Don't move." Wait, how do you do all three at once? That's the problem. You can't. And Maya knew it. Her breathing slowed intentionally, a technique drilled into her during her service. Control the body, control the outcome. But the officers, they were losing control. Then came the turning point. A sudden crack filled the air. Tss! A taser fired, but it missed. The prongs barely grazed past her side, clattering uselessly onto the concrete. Now imagine that moment. You're surrounded. Someone just tried to incapacitate you, and it failed. What do? Maya stepped back, not forward, not aggressive, just distance. But that single step sealed her fate in their eyes. "She's resisting!" one officer yelled. And that label spread instantly like wildfire. More units were called in. Sirens echoed through the street as backup flooded the scene. One car, then another, then another. Before Maya even realized what was happening, there were 8 officers surrounding her. 8, all armed, all tense. The situation spilled out into the street, lights flashing violently against the dark pavement. Neighbors gathered, phones lifted, whispers turned into gasps. "This is getting out of control," someone muttered. And they were right, because now it wasn't just about control, it was about perception. One officer moved in too quickly, his footing slipping slightly on the pavement. He stumbled, catching himself, but in that split second, he shouted, "She lunged at me!" Did she? No. But it didn't matter anymore. The narrative had been set. Guns were raised higher now, fingers tighter on triggers, breathing heavier, faster. This wasn't a misunderstanding anymore. This was a standoff. "Last warning!" an officer screamed. Maya froze. For the first time, you could see it. Not fear, not panic, just realization. She closed her eyes for half a second, exhaling slowly, and then she said something that made the entire situation even more unsettling. "If you do this, you're going to regret it." Now ask yourself, was that a threat or a warning? Because in the next few seconds, we're about to find out.